TikToker caught faking
This TikToker is being
her entire rich housewife life, huh? Huh.
called out for faking the ownership of luxury homes that she was hired to watch, turning her house sitting gig into a high-end retreat business, causing drama across an entire island community. I mean, imagine hiring someone to water your plants and feed your dog, only to discover they've been turning your home into their own personal Airbnb side hustle. That's confusing.
No.
It feels like every other week there's some new influencer faking their own reality. This time, however, instead of just posting old photos to fake a vacation, this woman is allegedly faking a real estate empire. So meet Kylie Swanson, who presents herself on social media as a Connecticut housewife and has racked up about 90,000 followers on TikTok and 80,000 on Instagram by posting this curated domestic lifestyle content. She's a 36-year-old woman from Norman, Oklahoma, and she grew up in a pretty typical middle-class family. Her dad owned a car dealership while her mom was a typical housewife. Kylie seemed to be on a pretty straightforward path throughout most of her life. She got married in 2011, had a kid in 2016, and like her mother, became a stay-at-home mom. But then 2020 happened, and like many people, Kylie and her husband started questioning a lot of things. And that is when they decided to change their lifestyle completely and start traveling the world with their son. So by 2021, they made an even bigger decision. They sold almost everything they owned and hit the road, literally driving across the country and hoped to figure out where they wanted to settle down. Except they never really settled anywhere.
They ran out of money.
Kylie discovered a world of house-sitting websites where people were in need of someone to just watch their pets and keep their properties safe while they're away. And I guess for someone trying to live this nomadic lifestyle, it seemed perfect. Free places to stay in exchange for taking care of someone's animals and home. So she then started documenting all of this on social media, and due to the interest surrounding this line of work, her following began to grow. The content was then a mix of travel, domestic life, and aspirational living that resonated with a lot of people. Her bio on Substack read, Martha Stewart if she lived out of a suitcase. So through various house-sitting websites, Kylie found temporary jobs all over the place, and each location provided the perfect backdrop for content that looked like she was living this incredibly luxurious lifestyle. And technically,
that's a nice looking place.
Just not in the way that most people thought she was actually living. And to be fair, she's been pretty upfront about her house sitting in some of her videos, explaining that she doesn't own any of these homes, and she's been pretty upfront about explaining her nomadic lifestyle that she's been living for a few years. And according to a recent interview, she claimed that the homeowners had always given her permission to film. Apparently that wasn't the case though.
Something I'm asked all the time is where I find rentals like this one, and in this video I'm going to spill all of my secrets. This cute little house I found in Montana off Zillow, and don't sleep literally on that app. You can add filters like fully furnished. We obviously need that since we own no real furniture. My next tip is called Trusted House Sitters. Trusted House Sitters is a subscription-based website where you can find gorgeous luxury homes for people who are looking for house sitters or pet sitters.
Because everything changed when Kylie took a Christmas house-sitting gig in Nantucket, a quaint little island off the coast of Massachusetts packed with a classic New England charm, including cobblestone streets, historic architecture. It's essentially like a very exclusive island that really
so expensive
radiates rich and wealthy. And as you can imagine, on an island like that where not too much happened and there's a lot of wealthy housewives with way too much time on their hands, it's safe to say word spreads pretty quickly there. But Kylie absolutely fell in love with this place. So shortly after arriving to the island in one of her initial TikToks there, she hinted at the idea of turning it into a camp experience by asking her followers that if that's something she should create, but in a tone that was so casual that it seemed very unlikely that she was being serious. It kind of felt more like a rhetorical question than anything else.
I can't believe how many other people also share a dream of running away to Nantucket and starting a whole new life here. Should we have a summer camp or something?
But her casual tone, however, did not stop the video from taking off, leading a bunch of people actually asking her to make it happen. And when Kylie opened a wait list for this hypothetical camp, over 3,000 people signed up. And that's when she realized she might be onto something. So as she says in her video and further explains in the interview, her idea was that many people wanted to visit Nantucket but couldn't access it, either due to cost, lack of connections, or simply not knowing how to plan a trip out there. So she wanted to solve this problem by creating Camp Nantucket. What could go wrong? I can already see this happening. It's like Fire Festival, but for middle-aged women. And in May, Kylie signed a lease on a rental property on the island. Then in June, she launched her first Camp Nantucket experience, a 4-day retreat for 8 women at $3,800 per person.
Oh, that's expensive.
So if you do the math, that equals roughly 30 grand in revenue for 4 days. even after covering rentals, activities, food, and other expenses. It's safe to say this could quickly become a cash camp. The camp included meals with a private chef, sailing, biking, and presumably some Instagram-worthy experiences. But while the campers were enjoying their slice of Nantucket, something else was happening in the local community that Kylie probably did not anticipate.
The women were all
And
chatting.
here's where things get a little bit complicated because, well, the island isn't just any tourist destination. It's a small, tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone. And apparently some pretty specific cultural norms are not very obvious to outsiders. The main issue seems to be around how Kylie and her team approached local businesses when preparing the camp. According to multiple business owners on Reddit, they were contacted about providing services, products, or experiences for the camp in exchange for social media exposure rather than an actual payment, which is not unheard of for influencers. This is kind of the standard influencer BS at this point. Oh boy. Kylie said she made it very clear that she was running on a tight budget and said to many of them it's common in influencer culture to request discounts in exchange for collaboration. Personally, I do not like this negotiation tactic because it's just too cliche at this point, and for the business owner, there's just too much risk because it's not like they don't have bills to pay. So having this like IOU of, oh, I can bring you traffic
as
for
a
small
shout
store
out,
in Nantucket on a remote island, it's not always that's too helpful. Because let's be real, we can't pay our bills with follower counts, because if you could, we would be in quite the bubble because everyone and their grandmother knows someone with a decent amount of followers on social media. Then I guess another problem was the fact that she brought in outside vendors. Apparently Kylie hired a Pilates instructor from Connecticut instead of finding someone local, which violated what seems to be some kind of like unspoken rule about supporting local businesses. This whole island seems like it's low-key ran by HOA Karens, but hey, let's continue. But it seems like Nantucket operates on a different timeline than most.
It's a bunch of middle-aged women living it up as housewives, so yeah, they're all HOA Karens.
Those places. Business owners on the island make the majority of their annual income during a 10-week summer season. So when someone asks for free services during their busiest and most profitable time of the year and brings in outside professionals to work at a local event, it really doesn't sit well with them. And during this time, the internet detective work was ramping up. People on Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram had been discussing Kylie's lifestyle content for months, questioning whether or not her Connecticut housewife persona was authentic, giving her nomadic house-sitting lifestyle. Because a user posted a thread called Kylie Swanson is pathetic that basically laid out the argument that she was just cosplaying as a wealthy housewife. Not simply because she was living out of a suitcase, since she had always made that clear from the start, but because the word housewife was being highly promoted by the algorithm back then, allowing her to keep gaining followers. I think I probably disagree in like the algorithm promoting a certain keyword. I think it's more or less that people were just really interested in housewife content back then, so therefore that keyword performed well. Same outcome.
I agree with that, Atozy.
Either way, I feel like that's nitpicking a little bit, but things escalated even more when an anonymous Instagram account called the Nantucket Brief popped up in June specifically to call out Kylie and document the Camp Nantucket situation. The account posted slides with captions like, a small business owner shares her Camp Nantucket experience, and described documenting instances where individuals request complimentary services from small local businesses, bypass regulatory permit processes, and utilize a community as a backdrop for personal gain.
You don't bypass the community.
Girlies on Nantucket are not happy about this.
Nope.
They've had enough. But the account has since been deleted, and it stirred up a whole lot of controversy while it was still active. And because of this, some TikTok users also started making content about the situation, including slideshows and videos breaking down what they saw as problematic about her business model and her approach. On Reddit, a business owner later identified as Peyton Triglaff, who runs an online boutique, says she sent about $400 worth of products to Camp Nantucket after being promised these social media features.
And
but
she never got it?
Peyton, barely any of her content was posted featuring her products, leaving her feeling like she basically wasted money and inventory on sending her these items. So apparently she's not even following through with her promises of the IOU for social media clout. And to make things even worse, apparently the camp thing didn't even have the proper permits that the island requires for special events like this. So Nantucket's director of culture and tourism confirmed that Kylie didn't secure the required permit. When asked about it, Kylie said her application was denied. So why would you go forward with doing the camp then if you were denied? I get that regulatory BS is annoying, but if you're trying to do an
What a way to try and start a business, huh? Ignore the fucking government. That'll get you on side.
event and you got denied, you shouldn't do the event. Either way though, when the media reached out to Kylie for comment, she agreed to give them an interview, and she didn't back down from the controversy at all. Kylie admitted to living in what she called a touch of delusion, which is, you know, a little bit refreshing self-awareness from a TikToker in controversy. But hey, she also defended her right to create experiences on the island, I guess even though she didn't have permits. Her take was the American dream should be accessible across the entire country, including Nantucket, and that there shouldn't be a price of admission to experience beautiful places. And I mean, hey, I guess that would be a half decent argument if she wasn't charging $3,800 per person for a 4-day experience.
Fucking wild.
That's almost $1,000 a day. At that price point, one would think that the permits would be in place. But hey, I digress. So regarding the business disputes, she also said that she talked to local businesses. Many of them seem more interested in pitching their services than actually working within her budget constraints. And honestly, if your budget constraints are requesting free services, that should pretty much be expected. But now, she's also continued posting her regular lifestyle content without directly addressing most of the specific allegations, though she did hint at hiring a private investigator to look into the smear campaign that was ran against her. In a recent post,
wait, so if you don't have fucking enough money to set up the camp, where the fuck are you getting the money to hire a private fucking hell.
She showed herself working at a desk with the text saying that it doesn't let her bother her when people choose to misunderstand her. As long as she knows who she is and that her intentions are good, she's fine. And honestly, ma'am, you're the one who promised businesses in their high season that they would get some attention on social media if they gave you some products, and you didn't follow through on that, so that's on you. She's also being a part of gatekeeping the Nantucket experience by charging $3,800 for 4 days, but also complaining about the other Nantucket gatekeepers. So it's a little bit like that Spider-Man meme where he's pointing at Spider-Man here. So I don't really sympathize for this woman. But despite all of this controversy, Kylie's business doesn't seem like it's suffering. She mentioned landing a $33,000 deal with a wine company and talked about potentially expanding the camp concept to other locations, including the Cotswolds in England and another camp in Newport. The anonymous Instagram and TikTok accounts that were documenting the drama have disappeared for the most part, though it's unclear whether or not this is because of any pressure from Kylie or just people moving on to other topics.
Good luck, Kylie, fucking putting pressure on Atozy. Stand strong, Atozy. Do not take this down.
Now, I think it's safe to say that the whole Camp Nantucket experience could easily be turned into a fascinating case study on what happens when influencer business models meet traditional communities, and how quickly things can spiral when different groups have different expectations about how everything should work. Whether you think Kylie was in the wrong or just caught up in cultural differences probably depends on your perspective on how business should be done and what constitutes a authentic representation on social media. One thing is for sure though, she should have definitely not gone ahead with the event after being denied permission. But it's reasonable to assume that Kylie saw an opportunity to create experiences for people who wanted to visit Nantucket but couldn't afford the typical price point. But also, I mean, looking at the price point at $3,800 for 4 days, that has to be somewhere similar to just going to Nantucket on yourself. How to get to Nantucket from, let's say, New York City. Hey, you take the ferry. Well, obviously you have to stay there. Okay, wait, hotels. Okay, 4-star hotel, $258 a night. I'm recording this in late August,
that's American.
So we're still kind of in peak season, I think, right? I mean,
expensive.
You can definitely do this.
That's about $800 for us.
For way cheaper than $4 grand for a 4-day trip, right? So you can fly to Boston, train to Cape Cod, and then take the ferry. There might be an Uber in between here, but it should not cost you $4 grand for 4 days on Nantucket, even in peak season, unless you're going like crazy bougie experience. But I am also...
Yeah, for us, for fucking $2,000. White Elephant Nantucket. Jesus. I'm sorry, what? $23,000 for 2 days. What? What the fuck is that? Hold on, I need to click on the visit site. What the fuck? I'm down a rabbit hole. $11,000 per night. Are you fucking tripping? Renting a house for $11,000 a night, that is insane. Hell no. All right, there's one that's reasonably priced. Still expensive as fuck. $600 a night. 500 over here. Tiny beds, small room. Could be worse. Oh, Jesus, another $20,000 a night one. My God. 33,000 a night. Hell no. That is disgusting.
Saying this as someone who's never been in Nantucket, I've only been to Cape Cod. Cape Cod was really nice. I would heavily recommend it. But clearly, the locals saw someone who didn't understand their community and economy trying to profit off of their island during the most crucial earning season. So to me, it seems like she was trying to make it happen no matter what they said, but she did the basic things like applying for a permit and speaking to a few business owners to maybe try to save face. But other than that, hey, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Fucking hell. That's angered me. $33,000 a night, that is obscenely expensive.